Hello and welcome back to the Week in Nintendo right here on GVG. I'm your host this week, as always, Steve Bowling, and I'm joined not by one, but by two spectacular co-hosts this week. I've got Jon coming back for the second week in a row, and I've got Daniel, who's back from kind of a long time away. I'm going to start with you, Daniel. How you been?
Hello, it's good to see you. We are a week away from Christmas, and I'm sleepy. It's getting colder. There's a lot going on. We're trying to catch up on a lot of stuff before the holidays, but I'm doing okay. Doing all right.
Man, that is awesome to hear. And Jon, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I met someone yesterday who works on Blippi. Do you know what Blippi is?
Oh, God, I do.
Yeah, for those who don't know, he's this grown man who goes around theme parks going, hey, what the hell? He's unbearable. And I met someone who books all of his England visits. So when he goes to museums, she books it for him. So that was all right.
That is the most random thing. The one weird piece of Blippi lore that I have, and this is horrific, and I know
what you're going to say, and it is horrific, yeah.
Yeah, he before his rise to fame, he had a viral video in which he pooed on someone.
Yeah. And there's now, I think there's 4 Blippies that they rotate between. And the first Blippy, the horrific Blippy, I think he's long gone.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I remember, because Blippi, he kind of, my kids are older, so he made his rise when my kids were around your kids' age. And I remember people saying, oh, do your kids watch Blippi? And I'm like, no, he poos on people. I'm not letting them watch that.
I wasn't ready for this when I woke up today.
Yeah.
I mean, even disregarding that fact, he's unbearable. He's I want him in a cage and I want him to stay there.
Yeah, I mean, if you stick strictly to the children persona, and I should be clear, he didn't go on his kids show and poo on someone. He did that before he got his kids show, but the character Blippi is awful. There are some things in this world I'm well known for being unable to tolerate. Minions. Blippi is also on that same trajectory. I can't stand him. I imagine it's what maybe Jon or Daniel, your parents felt with Teletubbies. Probably,
but Blippi's another level. Teletubbies, at least you can perceive them as not human. This guy, we've got to put him somewhere.
Just have to put Blippi away on an island somewhere where he can't bother anyone.
Yeah, true.
Are all the new Blippies dudes too, or is there Lady Blippi?
Let's settle down. Let's talk about Blippi lore. So yeah, there's 4 Blippies.
Oh, no.
They never acknowledge when it's a different Blippi. But there's also Mika, who's the female Blippi. And there's 3 Mikas, and they all look drastically different. So, sometimes just a new person appears, and it's me, Mika. It's you are not Mika. And the kids can tell. They can't tell about Blippi because he's just a white man. But with Mika, you can clearly tell that's a different lady.
I think we trained our kids with this with Barbies, right? How we had 80 different Barbies and they're all named Barbie.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, but more sinister is what I'm getting.
Far more sinister, yeah.
The magic is gone.
I find that so interesting. Blippi is just a name I haven't heard in a long time, and I kind of thought he just faded into obscurity. It's weird to think they just cloned him and made a bunch of more evil Blippies.
Yeah, he plays Roblox now. Sometimes he's going around airports and just talking to professional people, and they don't know what to say. He's in his big, crazy energy mode. Whoa, do airplanes fly in the sky? And they're just yeah, I'm a pilot. No one ever knows what to do with him.
I remember seeing those and being like, sir, you're in your 30s. Of course you know that airplanes fly. How'd you get here? Did you just teleport?
There's a big part of our audience that don't know what Blippi is, nor do they care what Blippi is. So we should move on from Blippi.
Yeah. This is a video games podcast, but we always have to start with something like this. So let's get to video games. Daniel, it's been a while since you've been on. What have you been playing in your time away from the win?
My brain has been filled with Pokemon Legends ZA, the DLC for that, and also Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. 2 very different titles to occupy my time with, but that's pretty much all I've been doing outside of doing other work stuff. So yeah, I've been just I did finish Metroid Prime 4 finally a little bit later than I feel like I would have usually because I was going for that 100% of everything. Didn't get all the scans. Got all the items though. It's a lot easier to get all the items in that one.
You can miss the scans just from the prologue, and that screws you up the entire time.
That's exactly what happened to me.
It brings back the good old feelings of missing the Ice Streak Bat or the tentacle of Flagra in Metroid Prime 1. I'm just like, oh my god, one thing I forgot to look at. I don't have that one. Okay, I just gotta do it all over again. I guess I'll have to do hard mode, so it's fine. But finished or about to finish the Pokemon Legends EA DLC as well. So that's a lot of mixed feelings with these two titles. It feels like in the social bubble right now, but I've enjoyed them. Maybe I'm just easy to please, but I've enjoyed them.
I've had a lot of fun with both Pokemon Legends EA and Prime 4. I think there's things you can nitpick about both games for sure. Like there's easy things that are like, yeah, you could have done better here, you could have done better there. But overall, I think they're both really solid games. Like a lot of fun. Like if I got either of these as a Christmas gift, I'd be super happy with them. I noticed though, and I don't know if you guys notice, I'm the type of YouTube person that reads a lot of the comments, which is detrimental to my mental health. But there seems to be kind of like an overwhelmingly negative slant in the community to a lot of games these days. Like games that I think are just universally awesome. I see a lot of people being like, "Oh, this is terrible." I'm like, where are we as a society?
You're seeing that right now with Expedition 33 because it swept the Game Awards. I think everyone predicted it would, but then people are just furious and calling the game bad now, and like they find like every means they can to say why it's bad. And like it's not flawless; you can find faults in that game, but it's so strange that we've just become so negative about this thing that was so bolstered about just a few months ago, and it's just that I think it's mostly the will to object against positivity. It's a strange human thing. Like we see lots of people being positive, and we're like, I don't like that now. I don't know. It always happens with anything.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We did an Animal Crossing preview. Nintendo invited us to a virtual preview, which is not the most ideal way to preview anything, but it's the option we had. And I saw a lot of people still really, really upset that Animal Crossing isn't 60 FPS. And I'm like, do you need 60 FPS though? Like, but that's most of what the comments are about this week. Yeah. It's just, I can't believe, somebody called it disgusting and inexcusable. And I was like, wow, that really stands out.
It's a shame there isn't like a toggle, like a 1440p 60 or 4K 30. That would be nice, but disgusting. I don't know if I get that far.
Some people need their frame perfect terraforming. You can't discount these people with their needs.
Yeah, like I'm not like upset at people who want it, but I think there's probably a really good reason why it's not. And I think in a game like this, I think I'd be more upset if it was like Mario Wonder or a game that required like good timing and reflexes. But I'm okay with a slower game at 30 FPS.
A game like Animal Crossing is a lot more unpredictable with like how much space you're having, because like there's people who have packed islands with so much on them. Even now, like there's ones where there's so much memory dedicated to just making sure everything is loaded in there. Other people have like real modest islands that don't have as much things, but you have to accommodate for the ones that will take up so much other space.
They kill the Switch One frame rate, don't they?
Yeah, they sure do.
It'll be interesting to test those cases like you guys are talking about. But one thing that I think a lot of people miss is that 30 FPS isn't inherently bad. Like it's treated like a bad word these days. But what I think is a far graver sin is an inconsistent frame rate as opposed to a lower one.
Oh, totally. Mm-hmm. And 30 FPS is even good in action games as long as the motion blur is good. Like if you've just got regular action going on at 30, it can feel a bit slow. But like FF7 Remake, that was 30 for most people's playthroughs. Most people played that on PS4 or PS4 Pro, and it was 30 with great motion blur there. And now, like you go on social media, and there's a bunch of people being like, I could never play that game at 30. It's like, dude, I'm pretty sure you did. It's obviously 60 on PS5 now, but that's the upgraded version that people double dipped on.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Dan.
We're just so spoiled these days. Like one of the best games ever runs at 20 frames per second. Which game is that? It's Ocarina of Time. It's a 20 frames per second game, and it's perfectly fine with me. Games don't need to hit. It's a consistent 20. They don't need to hit 60 at these days to be acceptable. It's just kind of a weird argument to make. But there's those who prefer it. That's fine. I don't know. I mean, I'm just easier to please having a 30 frame per second game that's just stable throughout.
I'm glad you guys brought both of those up. Because I do see a lot of like I don't know about you guys, but I see a lot of like nostalgic TikToks or Instagram reels or whatever about the age of CRT gaming. And you see people playing a lot of these games and like just, you know, they're waxing philosophical about how wonderful gaming was back then. I'm like, if you're a 60 FPS or bust gamer, you can't enjoy any old games. Like a lot of them, while there are plenty of 60 FPS retro games, a lot of the ones that are considered to be iconic ran, you know, by modern standards quite poorly. And Ocarina of Time, like Daniel said, is key among those. Like that's one of my favorite games of all time, and it 20 FPS, baby. Like,
it does depend how far back we're going, because like, PS2 has more 60 FPS games than PS4.
Yeah, exactly. It's a weird scenario. GameCube had plenty of 60 FPS games. It is quite interesting to see how kind of. I would say though that back then the importance wasn't placed on 60 FPS nearly as much as it is today.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Like we focused more on the content of our games. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about today. A real quick note though, just as you mentioned, John, the FF7 remake demo is incredible. I played it in docked mode and I was like, yeah, this looks better than when I played it originally.
Yeah, it's got all the PS5 lighting in there, so it's got all those upgrades going on, and it looks like you remember it looking. Hair's a bit fuzzy, but that's just the DOSS thing, and the way that FF7 does it, where it's kind of more clamped together than something like Star Wars or Resident Evil, it's more passable than a lot of other complex hairs on Switch 2. So it looks fine.
Yeah. I went into photo mode and just kind of spun the camera around last night before I went to bed, and I was like, this looks nice. Like this passes the test for me. Like I knew it would look really good in handheld, and I had played it very briefly at PAX West on a TV, but show floor TVs are usually terrible. And so it's quite different to playing it at home on your own setup where you can compare it to other things. And when I put it in docked mode on my 65-inch OLED TV, I was like, this just looks better than the last time I played it, like hands down, because I played it on PS4. And that to me is amazing. I'm much more curious about how Rebirth will be on the Switch 2 than I am
for sure
about Remake, because Remake's going to be fine. It's going to be wonderful on there. And if you play it on PS4, it's going to look better than it did.
Yeah, first played it on PS4, then played the upgraded PS5 version. And comparing the PS4 to Switch 2 to PS5 is crazy. Just to see how on par Switch 2 performs to the other consoles.
Yeah. It has been quite strange recently getting all these really nice looking Switch 2 games, because this entire time I don't think we've really had an idea of what Switch 2 can do capably. We've had a lot of cross-gen games, a lot of PS4 games, and FF7 is one of those. But the fact that it goes for the PS5 visuals, and then we got Resident Evil Requiem in like 2 months, we're starting to see that this console push above what I think a lot of people thought it could do. And I guess next year is the real test of that. Like, are we going to start getting a lot more day-and-date games? Like Pragmata's one of them. What else is going to be coming, and how good are they going to look?
Yeah. There are like some screenshots for Pragmata on Switch 2 shop, but that obviously doesn't give the full story. I'm very curious to compare that with the PS5 version to see how those compare, because I think the same thing with Final Fantasy 7. Like, I think the hair dithering is going to be a noticeable thing.
Yeah,
but
other than that, it looks pretty good. Like the shadows were toned down a bit, but it's mostly the hair.
Yeah.
Have either of you played the Pragmata sketchbook demo that they raged on Steam?
Not yet.
Steam, no, not on Steam. I'm waiting for the console demos to come out, honestly.
Daniel, you played Pragmata at PAX West, though, right?
Yeah, we were at the booth and you were watching me play Pragmata for like the first like 15 or so minutes of the game.
Yeah, so the sketchbook is essentially the PAX West demo. It's
Okay.
it's the same sequence where you're in like a moon base and you have to fight kind of a big robot boss at the end. It's like a 15-minute demo. Fantastic. I fell in love with it immediately. Like the hacking slash shooting gameplay is something that's so unique. I fear that it'll get lost on some people if they just watch it, but when you try it, it's one of those that it immediately makes sense and pulls you in really quickly.
Yeah, that was the hardest thing about trying to explain it to somebody else, to how like Diana is the face buttons and you as Hugh are the trigger buttons. It's a weird comparison to like The World Ends With You, where there's two different things happening at the same time and you have to make your brain kind of make sure you're following both to adequately, defeat whatever's in front of you. But it's kind of like that, like those two different styles of gameplay that are working in conjunction with each other, and it's just super fascinating. I'm excited to play more of this when the demo comes out and when the full game releases.
Mhm.
Yeah. I was trying to explain it to Rosie and she was in the room with me and I could just see her like glazing over and I was like, just try it because if you try it, you'll get it. And it's so much fun once you do. I've played through the demo once and I just want to play it again, like even though it's a really short demo. But yeah, I'm really excited to see how this performs on Switch 2. But this has been one of the longest preambles in Week in Nintendo history. Probably just because we're a fun group. But today we're gathered to talk about our favorite indies of 2025, and there's a lot of them, and there will probably be some debate in here about what constitutes an indie. But I want to start with you, Daniel, because I know you've played quite a few indies this year. What would you say?
John's probably played more than I have, honestly. I'm going to be honest right now.
Well, I know you've at least gravitated to one in particular. So what would you say is your favorite one that you've played this year?
Oh man, I think it did come out this year because it was all the way back in January. I think the one that I had the most fun with, as far as like as a sequel to the one I played beforehand, was Ender Magnolia, Bloom of the Mist.
Wow.
That
I forgot that launched this year. You're right. That's like right at the beginning.
Early January, yeah. I had to look back to make sure, but it's because that was in a test like pre-release beforehand. There was like a demo for like the first section of the game, early access for a long time, and the full game finally came out in January. And it's just a fantastic game. I don't know if you both have played Ender Lilies, Quietus of the Nights.
I haven't played, no.
No, I keep meaning to because I tried it at a show one year and I was like, wow, this game's incredible. And then as so many things do, it kind of slipped off my radar.
Yeah, those two titles are fascinating to me because you play the role as a character who in as themselves, they're very weak and frail. It's very much like it's pretty difficult. You can like get knocked out in like 2 hits if you're not careful. Yeah. But the whole basis is that you have these other these entities that help you in battle. So like in Ender Lilies, it was like these knights that have been affected by a blight, and you as Lily would purify them and you recruit them onto your side. But that's kind of like your way of getting more power-ups. It's like each of your power-ups would be a different knight, for example. So your basic attack combo comes with your very first character. Like that's your basic attacks, and they fight for you. Like you're kind of ducking away as you hit the buttons to strike. But as you move on through the game, you get things like you would find in a Metroidvania, because they are Metroidvanias. You'd find like ways to smash through a wall, a grappling, a specific character that would do for grappling here and there. One that can give you a double jump, one that can help you dash. Like they all do specific things, and I just think that's super fascinating. That the entire game is not just you're a very regular person, more or less. Like you're the one that helps to purify these deities to help you like recruit them to your side. But what I like with Ender Magnolia is that they all have more of a personality. In the first game, they're just kind of like these knights that have been purified. But now that you can kind of talk to them, when you sit at a bench, you can converse with them and get more personality from them. But yeah, it's a fascinating game. The art style is amazing. It's a cool steampunk take compared to the last one, which is a lot more like of a apocalyptic kind of style. But it's just such a cool game. I really enjoyed my time with that one.
There's like a Lovecraftian vibe to the visuals, quite gothic.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I need to try these. Like I every time someone tells me about them, I'm like, oh, I need to try these. Maybe in a few years I'll end up sitting down and finding the time. I always feel like it's difficult for me to keep games on my radar when it feels like there's just new ones coming out every single day.
Yeah,
I feel
we
like
gotta stop them. We got to stop them making games. We are fine. We don't need no more.
We're done now.
Just halt production, please. I need to catch up. But yeah, that's honestly, I feel like in some ways I enjoyed games like Ender Lilies and Ender Magnolia more than your typical, like your high profile Metroidvanias like Hollow Knight, for example. Magnolia definitely improved upon a lot of things from the first game, so that's a very solid in Metroidvania if anybody's interested in getting into a new one, or just start with Lilies as well. That one's very good too.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good recommendation. I honestly thought when we started this that you were going to say Silksong. That was going to be like I know we're not doing just our absolute number one favorites and jumping off, but I thought that was going to be the first one because to me that's the one I've heard you talk about the most on podcasts and stuff like that over the course of the year. So
I haven't had much of a platform to talk about Ender Magnolia because nobody else has really played it. I definitely have games that, have been more mainstream that I'll talk about on this discussion, but I wanted to get that one out there first and foremost.
And that's an awesome first one to jump off with. John, how about you? Like, what's a notable indie that you've been into this year?
Bionic Bay. We love Bionic Bay. Do you guys know what Bionic Bay is?
I have no clue. Is it B-A-E Bay or B-A-Y Bay?
B-A-Y, Bionic Bay.
Very different games, if so.
It is one of the most gorgeous games I've ever seen in my life. It's got like sort of that silhouette nature that you'd expect from like Limbo or the DKC Return stages. But the pixel art is like some of the most detailed that I've literally ever seen. There's one tree that's got like 5 million pixels. That's not even exaggerating. Like the guy spent like 8 years just pixeling everything to an extreme degree. And you've got these incredible platforming mechanics where it's a little bit like, like 2D Mario, where a bit more free form than that. So you can triple jump, you can do a dive in the air like Odyssey, but there's way more. There's all these really cool gimmicks. Like the first one you get is the ability to switch places with things. So there'd be like an onslaught of rockets coming towards you, and you tag a box and swap places with the box, and then the rockets like explode into the box. So there's like really cool puzzles and ways to get around things with all these abilities. There's like a gravity shifting one where you can turn the entire stage on its side. It's really inventive, really beautiful, but very few people played it. And it makes you think, like, what if some of the best games ever are like they're just lurking on Steam or on the eShop and no one discovers them? Because I think this is like one of my favorite games this year, but I think it's just one of those that got lost.
This is all pixel art, you said?
All pixel art.
Because I look at a screenshot, I'm just like, you're lying to me because there's so much detail.
Yeah, 100%.
It's crazy.
He's done videos where he zooms in and you can see the pixels. It's crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah,
that looks incredibly striking from any of these screenshots that I've seen thus far. The lighting is crazy, and the thing that's all pixel art is mind-boggling.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now myself, and I agree. It looks impossible for pixel art.
Yeah, and you'd think like, okay, it's just artsy then, but no, the gameplay mechanics are so fun. It's a shame that it didn't sell that well because it never got a Switch port. It was only on Steam and PS5, whereas Switch felt like the natural home for it. But I think sales just weren't there.
Yeah, I was gonna say I looked at it and I pulled up just a quick like video of the game because I like to see games like that in motion, and it was prepended by a Metroid Prime ad, and so I was like, oh, it showed the Switch snap right at the beginning. I was like, how did this come to Switch? And I never heard about it, and I was like, oh, never mind.
If this came to Switch, I think people would be eating it up because it is really special. Hopefully, people play it on Steam when they hear about it, but it's genuinely one of my favorites of this year, and it's such a shame it's gone under the radar.
Yeah, it is funny. I once spoke, and I won't name the publisher or the person, obviously, but I spoke to a person at a major indie publisher, and they were asking us specifically about coverage and what we do for coverage. I think Daniel might have been in the room with this person as well, and they were quite candid with me because it wasn't on the record, and they were like, yeah, if you're not covering our games on either Steam or Switch, then it's worthless to us, because that's where the customers are.
Yeah.
And they're like, we put our games on other platforms, but those are the two that really matter.
Yeah.
And I found that to be very eye-opening, because I kind of assumed like Game Pass and stuff like that was really beneficial, particularly for indies. And it turned out that was just, at least in the case of this one, was not the case at all. And
for everything I've heard as well, like Game Pass deals have dried up for indies. It's really hard to get hold of them. And there's some that do, like Hollow Knight and all that. But for those smaller indies, it's quite hard to get that deal. But if you don't get that deal, a lot of them just don't bother bringing it to Xbox, because the player base isn't there for them, and a lot of that user base has been conditioned to subscriptions. They're not really just buying games. So that's why you see so many indies and some even high-profile third parties just don't bring their stuff to Xbox anymore. And PS5's, it's easier to bring it to PS5, but again, a lot of indies don't typically sell that well on there.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, because I think we recently got a report that hardware sales and software sales were the worst they've been since 1995 in the US. Yeah. And it's just not a lot of people spending on this hobby right now. It's a sad situation, but there loads of great indies are still coming out. My shout out for my first one is has to be Ball Pit. I think it's my favorite indie that I've played this year, in terms of just like amount of time spent and hours into the game. Such a simple concept. Like, you just take, it's like Breakout with added steps. So you're just, I mean, you go into a pit and you shoot balls and they ricochet off the walls and you kill enemies, like very much like Breakout. But there's layers of complexity added to it. It's like you've got a lot of Vampire Survivors DNA in there, where you have different characters who add different attributes to the balls that they shoot. Some people have like freeze ones that'll put freeze enemies in place. You have one character who shoots like a ghost ball that travels through enemies, but the downside is it takes longer to come back. So if you've got a lot of enemies in front, you put yourself in a disadvantageous position. And as you go through the game, you get more and more upgrades, and to unlock them, you have to build a village on the outside of the pit, because each building gives you certain advantages when you go back into the main portion of the game. And it's just like a really hard formula to describe, but one that works so incredibly well once you're in it, that the gameplay loop just kind of sucks you in and you get locked into it. My wife and I, we spent probably a solid like 2 weeks just playing this game.
I've bought it since we spoke last, because I've always intended to, because I heard so many good things. I've been trying to finish Red Dead on Switch too, so I'm not picking up many other games until that's done. But that's next on my to-do list, because it looks awesome.
Yeah, it's a really, really good one. Like, I don't often fall for like, kind of weirder indies like this. But I've got a couple weird ones to talk about today. But yeah, I would recommend this to literally anybody, because it's very much like a modern arcade game. And I don't think that we get enough games that have that kind of arcadey vibe to them, where it's just like, you don't need to worry about the narrative. You don't need to worry about the mechanics too much. Like, it's all very self-explanatory, and you can just, anybody who's ever picked up a game can walk in and start playing this game and understand what it's about immediately. And I don't think we have enough stuff like that these days.
No, totally.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Daniel, back to you. Give me another indie that you really liked this year.
Well, let's go to something that's a lot more mainstream then from here. Because one of the first things that I played on my Switch 2 was Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4.
Yeah.
That's a great recommendation.
This is, of course, a continuation from Chapter 1 and 2. Toby Fox and their team has been continuing to just increase the quality with each chapter that they've done so far. And I'm one of those people that has jumped on it as soon as a new chapter releases. And I know there are some people a lot of people probably are saying that they rather would wait until the entire thing is out before they play the game. I would say that is a way to take this, but honestly, it feels very close to like if you were watching seasons of a show or an anime, for example. It's like obviously it's not done, but you're keeping up with what is what's happening in the conversation at that point. And one of the things that really keeps this community going is just how amazingly fleshed out this story is. Like you can play through it as it is. It's weird, it's silly, it's your typical, not typical, it's like an RPG essentially that kind of, changes a lot of your expectations. It challenges a lot of those expectations that you would expect from it in its narrative and its in its characters. But God, there's just so much underneath all that. There's so much hidden beneath all that. Some of it connects to Undertale here and there, even though he says it doesn't, it still does. There was recently a 10th anniversary stream for Undertale in which a lot of crazy threads now connect with Deltarune. Beneath, there's like website stuff that you can look under the coding, and there's hints to things that you see in Deltarune. It's crazy. There's so much beneath that, but the theories go wild and insane. And that's so fun to keep up with every season of the chapters that come out, and I just had so much fun with these two.
Yeah, it is funny. Like this, this was a Switch 2 launch title. It's like how do we show the capabilities of this system? It's just this little game maker game. It was cool. They also had the mouse stuff in there though, which kind of showed off what the system could do. But it didn't matter what it could do or what it couldn't do because the anticipation was just so high for more Deltarune.
Yeah, my nephew in particular, like I've played a bit of Undertale, like I'm close to, I believe, the end of that game, and I didn't know that they kind of sort of weren't connected, so I told myself I wouldn't pick up Deltarune until I'd finished Undertale, which I think a lot of people would probably tell me to do anyway.
Yeah.
But my nephew in particular, who has played through all of Undertale and has been keeping up with Deltarune, that was like their main reason for wanting a Switch 2 was just for this one. And I was like, damn, like just having like the little mouse mode room, that's enough. And they're like, yeah, that's why I want to Switch 2. I was like, fair enough. That's I think that might be the only game they have for it too.
Wow.
That is, yeah. I'm just imagining a blank home screen of nothing but Deltarune.
Yeah,
that's the only thing there.
It's interesting because I feel like the older I get, the more difficult it is to relate to younger kids, even though I have a couple.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I find that a lot of kids these days, like they seem to want to play like more on Steam and stuff. Like my daughter, my 12-year-old, is obsessed with the idea of having like a PC and playing on Steam. She has a Switch too, but she desperately wants Steam.
Yeah, it's pretty common. Yeah. I guess it's just where a lot of their friends are. It's like the easiest place to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would guess most people have a computer these days. Like I don't think about that often, but
yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely recommend people who are interested in Deltarune. I mean, the first 2 chapters are free. If you enjoy those 2, you kind of know what you're getting into. So when you purchase chapter 3 and 4, you get the rest of the story as they come out. So that's how they're structuring it at the moment. Just really short. Love chapter 3. It's like a very TV show kind of production style thing. It's just a lot of fun. Not too long, honestly, compared to chapter 4, which is like the main meat of this collection here. It gets a lot more serious towards the end, and it's leading up to have like a really, really major chapter 5. So, I did a review of that when it came out, and that's very hard to do when you're only halfway through the game and you're not talking about chapters 1 and 2. So, if we review chapter 5, I'm just going to do chapter 5 alone and not even talk about the other ones because it's so hard to talk about this without explaining everything else.
Totally.
Yeah, there was a period in time where the idea of episodic games was huge in the industry. And I think Telltale was a big part of the reason for that. And I always wondered how one would review like an episode of a game, but I guess it's not too different to reviewing like an episode of a show, which IGN does all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah. Very, very interesting concept, but I'd love to see that. Anyway, John, what's your next indie that you have really enjoyed this year?
My next one's one that came out like a week ago, and that's Unbeatable. Unbeatable is rad as hell. One of the coolest aesthetics of the year. It's just this anime punk style. You're fighting back with music in a world where music is against the law. It's a rhythm game, and it's got like its core rhythm structure, where you're just sort of hitting the notes and everything. But then there's more rhythm heavy mini games. Like one of the ones from the trailer is like this baseball game where you have like hit the ball back, but to the rhythm of the beat. And there's so many things like that in the game. The story's really cool. The writing's great. I'm having a great time with it. Still haven't finished it yet, but I've had a really, really good time. And I wouldn't be shocked if this appears in Indie World in the next one, because it's pretty high profile on PC right now, and it's bound to get a console release. But yeah, I've been following it for ages, and it's lived up to expectations. Story, I think, is maybe a little bit on the weaker side than I expected, but everything else, the aesthetics, the gameplay, it's really top tier.
Yeah, I just looked at. I remember when we did some previews of this, and I looked at it, and I was like, "This is a art style and aesthetic that I'm totally into." I still need to get to it once I'm done with everything else I'm playing right now. I want to jump into that, but there's just so much happening.
Yeah, there's so way too much, man. And there's a bunch of like rhythm indies this year. Like just to shout out another one, we have Rift of the Necrodancer as well, which was also really good. Went for similar things, but I think Unbeatable sort of tying it all into a really cohesive story just made that one a bit more special to me. Yeah, like just the vibes of it, and the original soundtrack is just fantastic too. I think they're doing a vinyl release of that because it really is just so cool and good. But yeah, hopefully this comes to Switch soon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to check that one out. I remember seeing it and thinking it was really cool. I had to look it up just now because I didn't remember it fully. But once I saw it, I was like, oh, I have seen this before, and I really want to try it. I'm not the world's biggest rhythm game person, but I find games that are presented like in that way really, really end up hitting with me. So I'm glad to hear that you really, really enjoyed this one. And it does seem like such a natural fit for the Switch.
It does, yeah. Hopefully that comes along. And if it'd be cool if it does like 120 hertz on Switch as well, because I think that would be great for just being able to perceive visually how clear things are coming through. Because I've been playing it at like 144 hertz on PC, and it's just lovely like that.
Yeah, it's one of those things that is difficult. Because I don't know how many people have like 120 hertz displays, but I ended up going back in Metroid Prime 4 and swapping over near the end game to 120 hertz, and I was like, damn, I should have played like this more.
It's so nice, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a huge benefit to have that. Like it's I can imagine in a rhythm game in particular where timing is more critical than in most games, it'd be particularly well suited to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is one of those games where you just chuck a pair of headphones on and really listen for those cues. But yeah, it would be lovely to have that on Switch, have that aesthetic, but also have it in handheld mode, and just 120 hertz would be wonderful.
This is a weird aside, but have any of you used headphones like wired into your Pro Controller on your Switch 2? I'm just now realizing I've never done that.
I've done it in handheld mode a bunch. Yeah, not the Pro Controller though.
I've done it a lot with the Pro Controller these days.
Is it good? Like my main issue with Xbox when it had that was that I would get static. Like I would get weird static on my Xbox controllers when I would plug headphones into them. So I've just never tried it on my Switch 2 out of habit.
Oh wow, yeah, I don't think I've ever had any moments of static. It's been really good quality just using the headphone jack on the Switch 2 Pro Controller thus far.
Man, I'm gonna have to try that. If you're out there and you're listening, try it. Apparently it's good.
Give it a try. Yeah.
I have Bluetooth headphones, and I always notice like the slightest bit of desync from my Bluetooth headphones to what I'm seeing on my TV. But I'm like, it's not a big deal, but I'm not playing like a rhythm game. And I was just thinking about that, and I'm like, in a rhythm game, that would be murder. Like it would be impossable.
I couldn't find my wired headphones for the train the other day, so I was playing Red Dead with some Bluetooth earphones, and it was unbearable. It's just like everything just isn't in sync. Like you fire a gun, and it's just perceptible that it's not in sync.
I think playing games on the train is such a quintessentially British experience because like I can't. Well, one, I think most Americans don't ride trains, and two, I think if I was on a train, I would be afraid to pull my Switch out. Like I'd be like, somebody's just gonna swipe this thing.
So I was full tabletop mode in mouse mode on a train table. So the train's it's swaying away, and I was just in Red Dead with the mouse on the table, just aiming at everybody. It felt good.
Yeah, I've played Switch on a British train, I just wouldn't do it on an American train. I feel like the vibe of an American train is way different and more threatening than a British train. Like British trains are fun. Like the seats are like, 4 people facing each other generally.
Yeah.
And I often fall asleep on them. Like it's just kind of relaxing, but that's a story for another day.
Best we got out here is like our BART system, our monorail system in California. Also would not recommend playing anything valuable while just sitting there. A little threatening.
Yep. The BART is my experience with American trains. That's the beginning and end of it. So I used to live in the Bay Area, and I remember seeing a lot of people do a lot of horrible things on the BART, which is ironic because my dad's name, I don't think I've ever said this out loud in my history of creating content. My dad's name is Bart, which just adds a layer of complexity to my feelings about that train.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's also weird growing up with a dad named Bart. But
I've never met a single person actually called Bart. I thought it was just a fictional Simpsons name.
I did too. Like my dad, like a lot of American kids, is my stepdad. So I wasn't like born into having a dad named Bart.
Yeah.
And when my mom met him, she's like, "Yeah, his name's Bart." And I was like Simpson? Like that was just the reaction I had. And it didn't help things that when I moved in with them, after she married him, that he had, and I'm not making this up, the bedroom my mom and dad shared when I was a kid, there was a giant lava lamp, a waterbed, and next to said waterbed, a life-size, bigger than life now that I think about it, cardboard cutout of Bart Simpson in their room.
What?
Oh, dear. This is, doesn't sound real.
Like just a giant, like it was taller than me. And so it had to be bigger than Bart because I was like a Bart-sized kid at that point.
Well, yeah.
And I just remember thinking, like, did he get that? Like, I never had the courage to ask them. I should. Like, did he bring that to the marriage, or did my mom buy it for him? Because either way, it's weird. Like, which one of you decided this should be a fixture in your grown-up bedroom?
No.
Yeah. I just imagine like waking up at night and Bart Simpson is hovering over the bed.
Spiky phase silhouette. Yeah.
It's like, hey man, just looking over your shoulder.
Eat my shorts. Yeah. Oh, I can't think about that anymore, or else I won't sleep tonight. All right. So, speaking of things that are slightly unsettling, my next indie is Skate Story. And I know we talked about this a little bit on the previous episode, but I've played it more since then. And I don't know that I can think of another indie with this kind of like haunting presentation to it. It's just so it's hard to describe, but it has a quality that it will stick in the corners of your mind for the rest of your life, probably.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre. You're a demon made of glass on a skateboard on a quest to eat the moon. And like that's really like the elevator pitch for it. And you're going to know immediately from those like 10 words whether the game's for you or not.
Yeah.
And
it takes itself at face value too, though. It doesn't, like, it's quirky, but it's not like, oh, how weird is this? It just accepts it is what it is. Yeah.
And that's what I love about it. It's just kind of like, yeah, this is the universe that we inhabit, and we're not going to be self-referential or tongue-in-cheek about the nature of this quest or this universe. We're just going to be very serious about it, as though it's an extremely normal thing. And like you have philosophers telling you about the impossibility of your quest, but interested to see how you proceed in doing so. And there's like a divine magical power to everyday skating tricks, and it's just so cool. Like I can't think of a game that has this kind of vibe, and this, it's got like your game, John, it has an incredible soundtrack, and the music kicks in at the right times to create this experience that just feels very memorable. And I can't think of another indie this year that really nails down its presentation quite as well as this.
It's a very precise controlling one too. So, like, in order to go forward, because you're on a skateboard, you have to, put your foot down and push yourself forward. And when you do that, you sort of sacrifice steering. So it's like, do you accelerate? Do you steer? And you've got to figure out like just the right moments to do that, just the right moments to slide around corners. It's really precise, and it gradually gets into that like really hard territory. But it feels so good when you finally conquer like those challenges that really push you to go beyond and like memorize and use your instincts. But then you've also got like those boss battles. You just got to go around doing tricks and things, and it's so cool and so unique to have a skateboarding game that isn't just skate around a park and get a high score. Like this is something like way more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It adds a lot to the skating game genre. And as a kid, I always liked skating games, but I felt like they started to get a bit stale when we moved into, the Tony Hawk era of skating games where people were content to just have it be, oh, I'm in a skate park and, I'm doing tricks and earning new skaters and unlockables. Cause it felt like for a while, every single skating game has been like that. And this is one that kind of leans into the things you can only do in the medium of video games, have insane stories like this, that really wouldn't work in any other way. And one thing I love about the boss battles is that if you repeat tricks, you do less damage. So you have to keep constantly changing up your tricks in order to keep those boss battles shorter, because they do get quite difficult and you can actually die and it's easy to die because you're made of glass. So the point is to try to avoid taking damage pretty much in any circumstance. And one thing, and this is something that I don't think happens enough in games. I love how realistic the camera is when you die, because it actually looks like somebody dropped a camera.
Yeah, it just sort of flops to the ground.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool added thing that they did for this.
I like how that harkens back to like seeing those videos of like your friend has your hand cam and they're watching you do a trick and you're like, oh, that's sort of like those MTV style videos
exactly
from
like
back
that,
in the day. Yeah, it's so cool to see games like this kind of take something that has started to stagnate and just give it some new life, new perspectives, and expand upon what it means to be a skating game. Like there's so much more it can be. It should be exciting. It should be a lot more than just, you're skating around in a park or around town. But it sounds like that's something that is really just pushing what that genre can mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just a fan of, games that can only be games. Like games that wouldn't work as like a TV show or a movie or a comic. Like this works because it's a video game. And I don't think we get quite enough of those these days, particularly in the indie space. Like it's nice to see something that is bold and original and weird, and something that we probably won't see again. And I love that kind of stuff. Something that is unique in video games. But anyway, let's go ahead and pass back over to Daniel. Have you got another indie for us that you'd like to share?
Well, you mentioned this earlier, so I feel like we might as well just talk about it now. One of the ones I did play a lot when it was released was Hollow Knight Silksong, a game that we've waited very long to have come out. And it's weird to think that after all this time, when Silksong has finally come out, it's kind of already become buried underneath the conversation of the Game Awards, of other indies that have come out, just that there's so much coming out at this time of year. Because the conversation for games just moves really fast, very quickly these days. But for Silksong, I very much enjoyed playing Hollow Knight. We mentioned other Metroidvanias. I'm a big fan of Metroidvania, so this was one I knew I had to jump in on. And I mean, it's such a dense game packed with so much in it. Like you can feel the near decade amount of work packed into this one title, and it shows in every corner, from the details of the art style, the background. There's like layers and layers of backgrounds that go on forever. It's just so amazing. There's so much depth to this. The lighting, the balancing of enemies and whatnot. I love how the fighting has evolved from very simplistic, like very precise positioning of like Hollow Knight, where you're just a slow moving character just trying to get the right swipes in at the right time, and now you're someone like Hornet who's so graceful in battle. Like your movements are so much more quick. There's so many more options in your battle. It's like a dance with certain boss fights, and some bosses actually are like a dance back and forth. It's like a performance. And yeah, it's also incorporated. It's also kind of why this game is just a lot harder than Hollow Knight. I feel like I struggled with some of the bosses in this one for sure. But I know you all played it as well this year, right?
Yeah. I think it feels like an expansion, which it originally was, before it turned into a full sequel. And it's interesting how the conversation was like, this is really hard. Like, this is harder than Hollow Knight. I think that was always meant to be the point. It's not necessarily a starting from scratch sequel. It's more Hollow Knight. And that's what it is in every regard. Like, it builds upon it. The movement is different, but it's very much, here's more areas, here's more bosses. It's more of the same game. It's not a drastically different sequel. It's a very iterative one. And maybe that's a little bit why it feels like the conversation's moved on a bit, because it's something that we've established for a very long time now. But what it does achieve is incredible. And the sound design is such a marked improvement over the first Hollow Knight, which was already good. But everything from the soundtrack to the quality of the recordings, to just how you hear certain sound effects, it's just so distinct, and it's absolutely wonderful. They think they said recently it's sold 7 million already, and there's a Switch 2 edition of the first game coming. It's miraculous. Very few games could have this long of a development cycle without, that's just like firing employees or whatever. But they had infinite money from the first Hollow Knight, and you can feel like every inch of that budget in each area, because there's no lesser point. There's no point where you go, this area kind of sucks. Like this one kind of feels less than the last one. They're all equally good. It's hard to know what's mandatory sometimes. What's optional. What are you meant to do? They're all the same quality.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job making Silksong a bit more approachable in some respects, and tuning the difficulty a bit higher in others. As somebody, one of my main gripes about Hollow Knight was that it could be, as somebody who was very casual about that game, it could be difficult to get back into it if you had to step away and to figure out where you were supposed to go, what you were supposed to do, where I feel like the signposting in Silksong was significantly better. And it was easier to find maps. Like, all those things existed in Hollow Knight, but it was easier to find them in Silksong. But the combat encounters were more difficult, more challenging, which I think made a lot of sense, because Hornet herself was a lot more capable from the onset. Like, you had that, dive attack with the needle. Man, I can't get over how satisfying that was. Like, the first few platforming sections where you figure out you can like bounce off of bells and stuff and use those to get to greater heights. Like, I became addicted to those particular challenges and started seeking them out. But my favorite thing about Silksong was that it had, and this is true of Hollow Knight as well, but it had kind of a 16-bit era vibe in terms of how its boss encounters were. Like, it's all about pattern recognition and finding attack patterns and navigating them. And so there was always this feeling with me of like, I'd go to a boss and I would get trounced, and that might happen 2-3 times, and then suddenly everything would click and I would understand, all the attack patterns and be like, okay, I know what my game plan is. And then it would, the balance of power in those fights would completely turn around. It would go from being dominated to being the dominator and just destroying that boss. Like, you go from frustration to just, completely wrecking that encounter and moving on to the next one. And I found that loop to be really immensely satisfying.
It's interesting you say 16-bit, because they've always just felt like 2D Bloodborne to me, like right down to the fonts and the music. Like they're all just, clearly it was inspired by it, but the actual like boss patterns just feel straight out of Bloodborne, which is super cool to see in 2D in both games. But I suppose there is some more like Super Nintendo vibes as well.
Yeah, for me, I think I equate the 8 and 16-bit eras, like the boss battles, just to like memorizing patterns and doing that. And to be fair, you're much younger than I am, so we probably were of similar age when taking these lessons from gaming as a whole. They just occurred in different generations. I guess for me, at its core, like, I don't think of 3D games that way for whatever reason. I think I view them more as just like I don't view them as simple patterns. I view them as more complex things, but I also grew up just watching, Bowser move left and right, whereas younger generations had the ability to, you had to contend with like 3D encounters as probably more formative gaming experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's
kind of. I mean,
so many,
so you go, Daniel.
Oh no, I was just gonna say there's like so many different experiences, so many different ways that we learn these kind of lessons from games, from different generations, different eras. It's weird for me because like my first game was like Super Mario World, where I did see my enemies go left and right. My second game, main like Mario game, was on the N64, so making that immediate jump was very jarring to me. But I kind of grew learning kind of both at the same time, where you could just kind of had to kind of like adapt to one way or another. And I find myself applying a lot of that to Silksong as well. There's a lot about this where I had to learn very painfully some of these bosses. Some of them did not take a few tries. Some of them took a lot of tries to, to get all the way through.
And the runs back were a lot longer than the first Holland.
There were some terrible ones.
There. Yeah.
So run back to what would the very last one for Act 1 leading into the Citadel for Act 2. That run back was absolutely terrible. Just to get beat up each time.
Yeah, what boss was it? I think it is the final boss of Act 1. I think I had me pulling my hair out for a little while. What was it called? It was like oh gosh, it was some
there was
I just remember
kind of
being
gatekeeper.
super stressed.
I forgot the actual name, but yeah, that one was a difficult one.
It's so funny that they made this game with it's 8 years worth of content. It's huge. It's massive. And there's now an expansion coming as well. It's like we haven't done enough.
Yeah.
Have even more.
Pre-expansion.
Yeah.
I'm well excited for that. I think we'll be having future conversations about that one in 2026. But yeah, it is nuts that they spent so long. And my first thought was like, so when do we get that? Like 2030? And they're saying next year. So I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah,
it's wild. Yeah, they never stopped working on it. Yeah, this is that game that I played the entire way through with the headphone jack on the Pro Controller. Nice. I played that entirely just in my ear, and that's where I really appreciated the sound quality. Like every little crunch, every swipe, every reverb that you hear, and the beautiful soundtrack too. It's all so well done and translated in there. So I think I would say that if I can beat a game like Silksong with the jack in the whole time, it's pretty good and succinct quality all the way through.
See, now that's an interest. I feel like I've learned something new about the Switch 2 today because of this. Like I don't know about you guys. I'm just going to take it on a tangent here because why not? I cannot seem to find what I would consider to be an acceptable TV audio solution. Like I have a pretty nice TV and I still don't think TV audio is very good. Like I can't, or maybe I just don't want to invest in like getting like a really big speaker setup. I think John, when you have, I don't know, I've spent time in your house, but I didn't analyze your gaming setup. I don't know if it's true for you, but for me, like with kids, I find it impractical to have like a big speaker setup, but I also find it difficult to wear headphones when my kids are around.
Yeah, because then you're just shutting yourself off from them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's such a difficult thing. Like I would almost invest in a home theater, but I'm like, I don't know that it feels like a lot to do when I know all I do on it is play video games. And then the headphones is tough because if my kids are going to cause chaos, like I don't want to be unable to hear them, but I also want to hear my games better than I do. I think I miss out on a lot by not wearing them.
It is funny, yeah, because I don't have a particularly in-depth audio setup either in the living room. I don't really want one because I think as a family it kind of takes away. Like you don't want it to be entirely centralized on the TV. Like you still want that kind of hanging out atmosphere. But likewise, you can't really chuck headphones on. So, my office is definitely a lot more equipped for a better audio setup. I played Expedition 33 with headphones on for the most part, though, because to get those timings in was really difficult, especially with people talking in the background. But that was something I did at night. I couldn't do that in the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing too. I think as a parent, you end up gaming a lot more in the evenings than you could as like I remember before I had kids, I'd just come home from work and I'd start playing video games until I was like, I'll get hungry eventually. Like, I don't have to worry about a whole lot. In a way, I envy you, Daniel, because it's like, I think one thing that they don't prepare you for with parenthood is that no matter how old your kids are, there's like a stigma around doing stuff that's just for you, like while they're awake, like because it feels a bit selfish. Like, my dad used to come home and just like put TV on, and it was like the most boring, dry stuff on.
My dad would just walk into the room. I'd be watching something. He'd just turn the cricket on, and then that would be it for the day. There's like no conversation about it. Yeah,
I'm glad I'm not the only one. Yeah, I'd look at that man and be like, Bart, how dare you? Like, I'd be in this man. And this is something, I don't ever do it to my kids, but like he would come in, he'd see me, like I'd be playing Super Mario 64 mid-game, and he'd just change the channel. I'd be like, damn it. Like, what? I can't tell you how many days I left my N64 on for because he would change the channel in the middle of something. I'd just be like, well, I guess it's going to be paused for 16 hours. I'll come back to it.
Yeah, like at home now, I definitely don't have that advantage. The TV is not mine. That is the kids. Like we limit what they watch, but it's very much like it's not mine until they're in bed.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have. So when I moved from Arizona to here, I moved my gaming TV, and it was the only TV I had because I lived in a much smaller place before I bought this one. And I put it up in the living room. So that TV was quite expensive. And just the other day we got in, and I noticed that the girls had watched so much of Alvin and the Chipmunks that there was like a silhouette of a chipmunk like partially retained into the TV. I was like, oh God. I was like, you poor don't have kids, Daniel. I'm telling you, right?
I go from having no responsibilities with kids to always feeling guilty that I'm not working on something in the meantime. That's what just gets replaced by. It's like if I'm not doing something, I need to be productive doing something else. And it's like it is productive to play these games so we can talk about it and do things about it. But then I also feel like I'm not being productive at this desk. So I don't know. It's a hard.
Let's just have a group therapy session. Let's just get all our worries out there.
Yeah, no more indies. Let's just
no more indies. It's okay. I ran out of indies. It's fine. You guys can take it from here.
I forgot where were we? We were talking about Silk Song. John,
what's Silk Song? Yeah.
What's your next indie?
Silk Song's pretty good, wasn't it?
It was great.
So let's talk about Duck Detective. Did you guys play Duck Detective: The Secret Salami last year?
Listen, man. I'm just a child. I can't talk about Secret Salami.
Well, Duck Detective: The Secret Salami from 2024 was really good. But this year they followed it up with Duck Detective: The Ghost of Glamping. And let me tell you about it. So it is an adventure game where you go around as this little duck, and it's really short and cool. You just go around. You've got to figure out the secret to this crime, and you figure it out by talking to people and getting all these these code words. And you use all these words that you get from talking to people and figure it out. It's simple as hell, but it's super charming. It's got like a Paper Mario aesthetic to it. You can finish it in maybe like 3 hours. I've become a big fan of these annual Duck Detective games. I can't wait to see how they follow up Secret Salami and Ghost of Glamping now. But yeah, they've become just something that you pick up nice and cheap, you finish nice and easy. Having a good time with this detective duck.
Are these episodic? Like they're just
they're standalone games, but I guess you can call them episodic. Yeah.
I've seen this. I've definitely seen this duck before.
I've seen the duck. I just have to read this real quick because one of the selling points on the eShop for this
read it
is throw bread to the fine beak of Lady Justice. And that's all I needed.
What?
Yeah.
Sold.
Yeah. Yeah, Sean Chiplock is the duck. You'll know him as Rivali, or what else has he done? He's done lots of things. He's done many a thing. Other roles. Look at his IMDb. He's a good duck.
I'm looking at this page and I just I'm gonna play this. I'll get back to you on this one.
Yeah, we'll have a Duck Detective special.
But yeah, I feel like there's a duck detective discussion in our future. John, how'd you
Good.
find this?
Sometimes you just see a duck and you think, oh, I'll play that.
Do you? You make me wonder about the inner workings of your mind. What's in there?
Sometimes you just kind of see yourself in a character, and you're just like, I want to know what this guy's about. Maybe we have a lot more in common.
Deal? Yeah, does he throw bread at the beak of justice or whatever it was?
The fine beak of Lady Justice.
Of Lady
Like,
Justice.
It's like you're hitting on her by throwing bread at her.
Yeah,
And also, she's apparently a bird. I assume a duck. I don't understand. I will though. I'm gonna play through these next week. One of the selling points on the eShop is that it takes 2 to 3 hours. It's $9.
So you're starting with the secret salami, right?
I can't say that.
You've got to start with the secret salami.
That's where we all start.
Where it all starts. You gotta finish Persona 3 first.
I know.
Persona
I'm
3 first,
81
secret
hours
salami
deep.
second. Yeah,
I will.
And you can reward yourself with the secret salami.
I will finish Persona 3 and then I'll play with the secret salami.
we love to hear it.
It's 7 a.m. where I am.
It sure is. Going back to bed.
All right. Let's get one last one out. And I feel like this has to be mentioned. Hades 2.
Yeah,
Hades 2 is an indie. And I know I love arcadey games, and I didn't really click very famously with the last Hades. It didn't really land for me the way it did for a lot of people.
Mhm.
The original Hades was hailed as a Game of the Year contender. A lot of people, it was their Game of the Year. I feel like people have been weirdly quiet about Hades 2. And it deserves so much better than that. And I'm sure the game is actually doing fine. It did win an award at the Game Awards.
yeah.
But it's just fantastic. I mean, on Switch 2, it's 120 FPS. Like it is everything I want from a game like this. It has arcadey style action. The bosses are really fun encounters. The upgrades are really fair. You've got a great selection of weapons. I can't remember the name of her, but the voice actress who does Malinois in this game, or not Malinois, who's the main character's name?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the actress's name. I'm blanking on it, but she is really, really good.
She's really good, and is unlike a lot of people in the voice acting space. Like she shares a lot of her setup for how she makes her content, which is really cool. Like I follow her.
It's Judy Alice Lee.
Yes, she turns in such an amazing performance in this game. All the voice cast is really good in this game, and I got really pulled into it. Like I got to Chronos on my third run and kind of got hooked on playing it. I still haven't actually beat Chronos. I'm quite terrible at the game, but it is loads of fun to play, and I keep coming back to it. Like it's kind of my in between games game. So like if I'm, when I finish Persona 3 or if, I feel burnt out a bit and I need a break from whatever I'm mostly playing, then I go into Hades and do a couple runs, and it just feels really well suited to the Switch 2. I'm probably going to blame it mostly on the 120 FPS though. Like I feel like it's just feels really, really smooth. And that's something that while Hades 1 ran perfectly smooth at 60 FPS, the 120 just kind of puts it over the top for me and makes everything feel more responsive. And in a game like this, where oftentimes there's loads of attacks happening on screen, it's really nice to have that added boost.
Yeah. Whenever we talk about Hades on GVG, most of the panels say, like, I don't usually like roguelikes, but I like this one. And like, there's a key reason for that. It's just that continuous growth. It doesn't really feel like you're starting from scratch, mostly because the story pushes forward. Like, you come back to the hub and things develop. There's constant growth going on, not just for your character, but also for everything surrounding you. And the reason Hades 2 probably hasn't hit so hard is maybe the same for Silksong, where it's more of the same. They've overhauled it a bit more, but it is more Hades. I don't think you can really make that that second strike in the same way. But what it is still incredibly good.
Yeah. I think that, like you said, there's this sense of continued progression. Like whether you whether you get through a run and you do really well or you don't, or you're always gaining some kind of resource that helps you gain like a permanent upgrade so that you're able to do better. Or you've unlocked a new weapon, or you've, like you said, you've moved the narrative forward in some small way. Like, at one point in the game, you get asked to go just straight up to Olympus and help out there with things that are going on. You can unlock new things that you can brew in Malinois's cauldron. That name is really tough for me. You're getting new items at the vendor, or you're just advancing plot lines with one of the many characters in camp. Like there's that one character who just treats you like garbage most of the time. To me, there's lots of little narrative threads that keep getting pulled each time you play the game. And I like those. It adds value to even a bad run. Like if you end up dying at the Sirens, you still probably learned something about another character or another god in the game. And I find that to be very compelling. And when you do get a run where everything aligns and you get a good loadout and you get really far, it's just very satisfying. The game never feels punishing though. Like it's difficult, but it's never just unfair.
Yeah. You can always overcome it with, with different abilities, memorization. You get better each time.
Yeah, I think for me, this game was one that was that just very slightly edges out Silksong. Like I really enjoy Silksong. I love it for what it is, but I think there's more of a longevity to Hades, and I think that's what put it over the top for me. Was just the pick up and play nature of it, combined with the fact that its roguelike nature gives me the ability to just play it almost forever. Like I can keep going through this game and have a different run each time. It's again another one of those indies that has an arcadey quality to it. Yeah. And I think that's what people miss about roguelikes is a lot of them have that kind of one more run quality. And that's what I love about this one so much. Mm-hmm. But it's been a great year for indies. Like 2025 has been packed. We didn't even talk about arguably non-indie Claire Obscure. There's, and for every indie we mentioned, there's literally 100 more that came out this year. Yeah. And I'm sure many of them are fantastic. So I would love to hear from you guys in the audience. What are your favorite indies this year? Give us recommendations. I guess I'm playing Duck Detective after this, but the secret salami will not be denied. But did you guys have any parting thoughts you wanted to share before we close out the show?
Well, next year we got Bubsy, so
which is surprisingly good.
Yeah.
Watch out, Game Awards 2026. Yeah. Bubsy's coming
for you.
Yeah, you actually should keep Bubsy on your radar. Sorry, Daniel, go ahead.
Yeah. Something I wish we could have talked about in this discussion was Mina the Hollower. That was a really good demo, and I was really excited to try that. Did not come out on Halloween as expected. It's still having its own. It's getting ironed out a bit, but we'll be able to talk about that more next year. Still looking forward to that though, because the demo was really well done.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Mina was nice. I played a demo at PAX West too, very briefly, and I remember hearing from the folks at Yacht Club just kind of how anxious they were about getting the game out on time back then, and it was only a month away from its then planned release date. So I'm not surprised to hear that they didn't make it, because they literally and they tried their best. They skipped PAX to keep working on the game, which was objectively the right thing to do, but unfortunately it didn't go the way they'd hoped.
Yeah. It is funny how quickly some things can come together. I did a game this year that released called Pompeii the Legacy, which was really cool. It's like a city builder game. And they incorporated the voice acting like 2 weeks before launch. I was like, how you doing that?
Wow.
Like, yeah, how's that possible? But they managed it, and it came out pretty well. But yeah, sometimes you scrap things together at the last minute and it works, and other times it's catastrophic.
I do wonder about stuff like that. Like, I mean, John, and I don't know if you can tell us this, but I'm always curious about how, your side of games works. Do you get to see the game when you voice the lines? Like, do they give you a demo? Do you get to play it? Like, what is that like for you?
Depends. Sometimes no. With Demon Tides, they gave me the entire build. So I'm in their dev Discord. I see what they do every day. I can access the most up-to-date version. And that was really cool because I got to see a scene I recorded. And I wasn't happy with it. I thought the tone didn't work. I think I misunderstood what the scene was meant to be. So I just messaged them saying, like, can I re-record that? And that was a really cool way of doing that, because otherwise I would have just been stuck with a performance I'm not happy with. But for other games, no. Other games, they just give you like a little illustration of the character and some directions, and that's it. Like you don't really get to visualize anything. And there's some that just don't give you a visualization at all. Like some of it's just lines. It's just like, do your thing.
Sometimes
that's such an interesting.
You just get a script sometimes, and that's it.
Yeah.
It really depends.
I find that interesting because one, I think, obviously the approach Demon Tides took would help because you got to see your lines delivered in context. But from a technical perspective, I'm always curious, like if they have like a developer record like placeholder lines, because from as somebody who has done programming, I've written apps myself, not games, but it's not horribly dissimilar. If you build the functionality to load in audio files, right, then as even people who just mod games know that swapping in an audio file is easy, right? Like you could just replace what you had with the professional voice actor. But I don't think a lot of developers probably go that far. And that's what I was curious about. Like, if you have ever played a game and you just hear a developer being like, into instead of actual audio, and then they just swap in like some really professionally done voice acting at the end of the game. But it sounds like there's a ton of different approaches to that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of it behind the scenes for Expedition 33. And for that game, they did all the the performance capture with different actors, and then they dub over the scenes with like Charlie Cox and Ben Starr and Jennifer English. And for their scenes, they're basically doing anime dubbing. So like they have on the screen the line, and there's like this little meter where the text is running along the screen, and you've got to say the word when it hits that bar. So they're just doing ADR. Which is really interesting for how natural it sounds, but it's traditional dubbing.
Interesting.
Yeah, you would think that it's that they're doing motion capture and the voice acting, but I didn't know for a long time that they were just separate actors altogether.
Yeah, that is that's going to be a very interesting thing to see. But all right, we have long exhausted our discussion about indies and apparently ducks and everything in between. So I want to thank you all so much for listening. If you're out there on Spotify or wherever else we post this podcast, I will remind you that they please ask that you follow us. It means something to them. I don't know what it means, but something. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much as always for watching. We will be back next week with a episode for Christmas. I don't even know what the theme will be yet, and we will close out the year with one final episode dubbed The Year in Nintendo. I think you all know what that means. Thank you all so much for your support. If you want to get these episodes a day early, you can head over to patreon.com/gvgaming, where joining our silver tier will get you access to audio versions of every episode of The Week in Nintendo at least 24 hours before it goes live, as well as like a whole host of other benefits. Like John posts his videos early there. Daniel does too. I try to post mine, but they're mostly reviews, so who knows. But thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Until then, bye.
Till we meet again.